Hi Leo, medium neighborinos. You got Robin here, and today we're going to look into how to use the medium.com editor. Now, if you're coming back to the channel, you're probably missing my face. Here it is. If you're new here, if you're new to Medium, or you simply need a refresher on how to use the Medium editor, this is the video, so let's hop right into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to medium.com and sign into your account. Once you have, you just click on the little right tab right here, and a new story is going to pop up. Now, when I write my stories, I generally do them right in the Medium story editor because I really like how clean it is and just how nice it looks and the fact that I can add all my images and everything as I go. So I do tend to write right in here, and I'm going to show you all the tools to do it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add a title to your story. Click on the little title bit, and then you write, "This is an article title." And it's going to format it for you. Now, if it didn't format it for you, you can highlight it and you can click the big T, and that's going to turn it into a title. And the second one is going to be your subtitle. And you just put it right below the title, and then you highlight it and you choose the little T, and see that's going to put it right into the subtitle formatting. Now there's a third option here. You don't have to use this, but some people like to sort of categorize their articles or just give it another little headline. So you can use something called a kicker. So to do that, you just create another line. If you can spell right like I can, and it's going to add the kicker. So there you have the top formatting of your piece. Now you can either start writing, or what I like to do is add an image. So when you're using the Medium Story Editor, you want to click on this little plus sign, and it's going to open up the menu for you. So here you have add an image from file. So you can do that if you have one saved on your computer, or you can add it directly from Unsplash, and it's going to cite the photographer and everything for you, which is really neat. So if you want to add a picture from a file, let's say, for example, what have I got here? Let's say I want to add this picture that I have of a bookshelf. So it'll add the picture in, and there I go. But let's say I don't want to use that, and I want to find a better image. So you can open up the Unsplash and just start typing what you're looking for. So for example, let's say I want to look at pineapples, because I happen to know they have funny pictures of pineapples, or maybe it's your safe word. So you just type a keyword of what you're looking for, and then a whole bunch of images are going to pop up. Now let's say I'm looking through, let's say I want to go with this funky little dude right here, which I see all the time on Medium, so maybe don't use that one. But click on the button, and it's automatically going to add the citation for your images, which if you're going to be publishing in a publication, they're probably going to require. So this one does it all for you, which is fantastic because it means that you're good to go. Now, another thing you can do with your images, which is kind of neat, is that there's different sizes you can use. So it automatically defaults to this sort of medium width where it puts it right in the middle of the page. But if you want to make it wider, you can do so. So instead of having the standard option, you can click it to go wider than that, or you can click it to go the full width of the page. Now this can be used for if you've got something that's a photograph that's really meaningful to the story, and there's a lot of depth, and it's a really good image that's adding a lot to the story. However, you don't necessarily want to use too many of these too much of the time, because as you can see, it takes up the entire page and you kind of have to scroll past it. So some people like doing that. I personally don't. Generally, when I do a full width one, I do a photo that's not quite so long. Let me pull up an example of an article that I've got where I did that. Let's see. Okay, so here I have an article where I did go full width, and I liked it because it just kind of really broke up some of the text, but I have these quotes on there and I kind of wanted them to be a little bit bigger, so I found that it was appropriate to use the full width on this one. But as you can see, it doesn't take up the entire page. So I don't like taking up the entire screen of view, but that is personal preference. Some people like it, but I find it's a little easier to kind of see that there's text before and after, because I wouldn't want somebody clicking away just because they got bored of an image or didn't realize that the story was still going. So that's an option to do.
That's fancy. That's fancy.
So for example, one way that I can make a picture not quite as long, so it's not the full page width, is to take a quick little screenshot of the full width picture, but only the length that I want it. So let's say I want it, this long. And then I'll go in and upload the screenshot. Now I'm doing that on a Mac and I press Command 4, but I know that PC is different. So I select the new image, click it here, change it to full width, and now it doesn't take up quite so much of the page. So that's sort of how I would do it if I were doing it. And you can just copy and paste the image citation, and then you're good to go. And as you can see, it doesn't take quite so much scrolling. So if you are going to do full width, I kind of recommend that, but this is not a hard and fast rule. Some people like the full width and the full length. So after that, you can start typing your story. So as you type your story, you can either format as you go, or you can format it later. And depending on the story type, you might want to add a subheading. So let's say you want to add pineapples are cool because, and you want to make that a subheading. Again, you just highlight it. You click on the T if you want it to be a big subheading, or if you want to make it a smaller one. The big T is going to be bigger and the small T is going to be small. So you can keep typing your story here. Okay, so let's say you want to add a video. You go back to your formatting bar, go past the images, and you're going to see a little add a video link. So you can paste the link there and it'll automatically put the story in. Or you actually technically don't have to do that. You can just actually embed the link and it'll automatically preload for you, which is pretty cool. So this story editor actually does a number of things automatically. Let's say, for example, I want to bold a word in my sentence. Let's say I want to make sour bold. I can either highlight it and click on the button for bold, or I can simply just click Command B or Control B. And then if you want to do italics, it's the same thing. Now, if you want to insert a link in there, you just click the link, paste the link, hit enter, and there's your link. So you can link to other articles or sources for information. Now, another cool thing you can do is you can actually tag people. Let's say I want to tag somebody. You just click the @ symbol, and then you start typing their name. So for example, I have a second profile, so I'm just going to tag my second profile. That's me. You click on the name, and poof, now you've tagged a person. Now when you tag somebody, they're going to get a notification that you've mentioned them in your story, which is kind of cool. And if anybody wants to check out the person that you're talking about, they can simply click on the link and it's going to pull up the person for them to check out. So let's say, for example, I want to use a quote. So I would say, "Coach Robin always told me pineapples are my safe word." So if you want to add a quote, there's actually a cool tool that you can use on Medium. That's their quotations tool. And it's right here. If you highlight what you want to quote, and then you just click the little quote symbol here, and it's going to enter in a quote. Now there's a second way to do it as well, where if you click it twice, it's going to do sort of an indented quote, which is a little different way to do it. So it just depends on how you like the look of it. Either one works and is basically just preference. Let's say you want to make a list. So for example, here I'm going to create a list of reasons why bananas suck. So if you want to create a list, if you just put in a little hyphen and then hit the space bar, it's going to create you a list. So bananas suck because They're yellow. And if you hit enter, it'll go to the next line, and so on and so on. In the same way that you make a bulleted list, you can actually do a numbered list. So instead of doing a hyphen and a space, you do a number, a period, and a space. And that's going to give you your list. And as you hit enter, it's automatically going to enter the next number on the list. Now, there's another function you can do that some people use. I don't personally use them myself because I'm not a huge fan, but you can do something called a drop cap, which is sort of just a way of publishing, and it just looks a little bit different. I'm personally not a huge fan. I find them a little bit distracting, but you can use them if you see fit. Now, another feature of the story editor is that you can find out your word count, because maybe you don't want to write something too long or too short, and you want to know how many words you have so far. So you can either highlight all of the text, and it's going to tell you right up here that I have 73 words so far. Or maybe you want to know how long one sentence is, in case you want to edit down for length. If you actually just highlight that sentence or paragraph, it'll tell you exactly how many words it is right up in the left-hand corner. Now, there's one more thing you can do that I don't personally use myself, but they're really popular in text circuits, and that's adding a code block. So if you are writing something with code, or you just like the look of the block for some reason, you can add a new code block, which can auto-populate with the coding language that you're using. I basically only know basic HTML, so I'm not going to do a demonstration here. And if you're heavily into coding, you're probably tech savvy enough that you're not even watching this video because you figured out the story editor real quick. Now, there's another feature you can do if you want to sort of separate between two paragraphs. Maybe you've sort of closed one point and you're going to open another, and you can add the little ellipsis. And that just sort of gives the reader a visual break, which can be nice sometimes. So once you've formatted everything and added your images, you can publish your story. So when you're finished writing and formatting your story and adding your images, you're going to want to start the publishing process. Now, you click on these little three dots in the upper right-hand corner, and you're going to get some different options here. One thing you'll want to do is add topics or tags to your post, because that's how people find content on Medium. So let's say my topics are going to be pineapples, fruit, healthy eating, humor, maybe I've said something funny. And next to it, you can see how many stories are published in it. So the bigger the number, the more popular it is. So humor is a big one, obviously. So when you add your topics, you generally want to pick some that are going to get a decent amount of an audience. So you don't want to go too niche with them, but you do want them to relate to the story. So when you're done adding your topics, you can add up to 5, and then you click save. And if you want, you can change which image in your posts will be your featured image. Now I've only used one, so I only have one option. So from here, you can either add the story to a publication that you want it to be published in. Now, when you first sign up for Medium, you're not going to have any publications. You have to apply. Check out my upcoming video on that, on how to apply to publications. Let's say I want to submit this to my buddy Jason's pub, Bouncing and Behaving Blogs. I click the one that I want to do, and I click select and continue. Now, if I don't want to submit it to a publication, I don't have to. Maybe I only want this going on my own page. So after that, you click publish. And here you want to make sure that you've got your title, your subtitle, and that everything kind of looks good. And if you're in the Medium Partner Program, you're going to want to make sure that your story is behind the paywall so that you earn money, unless you don't want it behind the paywall because you want more people not on Medium to be able to read it. Now, another thing you can do is once you have email subscribers, you can send the story to all of your email subscribers. I do that with most of my posts, but not all of them if I happen to publish a lot that week. So now you can either publish it right now, or you can schedule it for later, but if you're submitting to a publication, you won't have the schedule for later option. So I'm not going to hit the publish button because I'm not really going to publish this story about pineapples. My readers would be extremely confused, but you have an idea on how to create your story. If you want to preview what it looks like before you publish it, you can click share draft link. You copy and paste that, and it will show you what your story will look like to the world. And if you want to send this to a friend before you publish, you can send it to somebody else. So here you have my story with my images, my tags, got my topics and tags down here, and that's how my story will look. So a quick recap, you're going to want to make your title by using the big T, your subtitle by using the small t, your kicker by using a small t, but you don't have to have a kicker. I generally don't use mine. And then to add an image, you can either upload your own or use Unsplash's tool. And then the same thing with the subtitles. You can either do a big subtitle or the small subtitle. And quotes, you can either do this style quote or this style quote. Everything you need is really within this handy little editor here, and it's a very simplistic layout. So once you've done this a few times, I think you'll get a really good feel for it. And as I said, I really like their minimal layout. I find it really attractive to sort of create your story this way, once you get a little bit used to it. All right, there you have it. Here's how to use the Medium Story Editor, and I wish you the best of luck in publishing. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can do that now, or check out some of my other videos on how to leverage Medium as a writer. All right, until next time, peace out.
Mic drop.